welcome Mr. Bruce Borders, Indiana Representative, District 45.
Thank you. It's really good to be here amongst friends and brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus. And, I'm here today for a young man named Andrew. And Andrew received, he was well ahead of his markers. For those of you in the health field, you know exactly what I'm referring to. As a baby, he was rolling over ahead of schedule. He was trying to say mama ahead of schedule. He was well ahead of his markers, and then he received the MMR vaccine. Andrew nearly died. He was hospitalized, and when Andrew came out of the hospital, he wasn't the same child. He has autism today. Andrew's my hero. He's my grandson. And, that's how I became involved so much in this fight. And, and I still, many times when I'm praying and sometimes when I'm just out mowing and raking leaves and so forth, I think, and Andrew's tall. He's going to be, the doctors think he'll be like 6'4", but he can't read yet. He's almost 12 years old. But he's got a lovely spirit. He can't read or write. And my daughter, Bethany, she's a registered nurse. Andrew's father is an eye doctor. He comes from, very bright parents. And again, a vaccine truly did change Andrew. It completely changed him. And when I'm praying, I think, Lord, give me a vision of what Andrew's going to be like, one day when we're without spot or blemish and completely filled. And we still love him. And he's a lovely, lovely young man. Again, he'll be 12 years old in February. But the fact of it is he was changed. And we all know this. In fact, I was sharing with Maureen that I've reached out to Robert Kennedy to help him, Robert Kennedy Jr., to help him, or to ask for his help in supporting the group here. But what frightens me even more than the mandates that are imposed upon all of you are now that they're looking at doing it to our children. And I guarantee you the reason for it is purely profit. It's so somebody can have another private jet, so somebody can have another home in the Virgin Islands, or somebody can visit some reprobate in the Virgin Islands. And, but the fact of it is that, when you look at this, some of you probably got what I was referring to there, but I've actually performed in the Virgin Islands quite a few times. The first time I was down there was with Wolfman Jack, and I never saw a house like that, I guarantee you. But anyhow, but when you look at it, it really is about major profits, and there's no reason. When you look at the statistics, we all know, this is a room of very, very bright people. We all know that children are just like, their chance of getting COVID-19 are almost 0%. And in fact, if you look at the new vaccine that they've developed for children, I don't know how many of you have been following up on that. I read about this stuff insatiably, but that vaccine also has an ingredient now that is actually designed to stop heart attacks. For a child, I'm thinking, why would you put an ingredient in a vaccine for a child that's designed to stop heart attacks unless there's something in the initial ingredient or the base ingredient that is actually damaging to the heart, which many of us have read about. And so I was just incredibly grateful to Todd when we were talking last Sunday. In fact, you still back there. He was on his way back home from the Mexican border. And if I'm not my normal spiritual self today, it's because Todd talked to me and kept me out of church. I did make it. Lola goes, she said, "How come you're so late?" I said, "Well, I've been talking to Todd Roquita. He's on his way back from the Mexican border." And she goes, "Well, you're always late anyhow. Now you're later than ever, But anyhow, Todd, and thank you so much for coming today. That really means a lot to all of us. Thank you. you know, if you look, you know, and I've shared several times that I'm sure we have some accountants, some bookkeepers in here. You know, this would never survive an audit. We know that the statistics that they're using to mandate these vaccines would never survive an audit. And, you know, if you look in the state of Illinois, in the month of September, 77.7% of all COVID deaths were amongst people who had already received the vaccine. And so if the vaccine is, you know, and then they tell us, you know, well, if you don't be around people, if you've not had the vaccine, but then they tell us also that people who've had the vaccine can still get it again and they can spread it. I'm like, then why get the vaccine to begin with? You know, this doesn't make sense. There's an article I've got in here. I was in the office really early this morning. Dr. Robert Malone, some of you have probably heard of him and followed his literature. He says, Dr. Robert Malone, the inventor of the mRNA technology used in most of the vaccines being distributed today in the United States, he's a fountain of information. And he says, actually, in this article, he says the vaccinated are actually the super spreaders. He said they can actually, they can still spread it, they can get it again. And he said that as a result of them, basically many of the symptoms disappearing, they're probably less cautious than those of us that have not been vaccinated. And I know today is not about saying, well, you know, we all hate the vaccine, although we probably would say that as well. But the fact of it is about choice, and especially, you know, when it comes to children, that is not choice. My grandson Andrew, who, you know, my daughter Bethany, she prays all the time, you know, just worried about in the future about, Lord, you know, please provide the right wife for him, you know, help him to read, and they've got him in special classes for that. And again, this was a young man who was well ahead of the markers, and today he can't read, and he's well behind his years because of a vaccine. And I'm thinking, why in the world would we do that to children if not for evil prophets? I mean, and that's the bottom line. This is all about prophets, and that's why they're going after the children next. They're going after the most innocent. So I promise to do everything that I can, you know, to help out. And, you know, the biggest concern that I had is I don't like to just, you know, it's like I've mentioned to you before, I don't like to do just political patronizing, you know. And in other words, I want to have something that we can hang our hat on, as I've shared with you before as well. And that's why I was so excited about Todd coming down today. At least we're seeing some solid actions here. And you know, and again, it's, you know, this battle's just begun. I loved Jim's spirit and what he was sharing there. And you know, the fact of it is, I love the courage that all of you are showing. But the fact of it is this is going to take a lot of hard work, It's already taken a lot of hard work, but hang in there. You know, as I've mentioned before, we do need to get some folks help with the religious exemptions, and in some cases the medical exemptions as well. And I've tried to answer as many emails as I could. I've truly been, I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, was in the office about 4:30, trying to do homework for this, and then load up the sound system and so forth. I changed clothes. I'd say, if you notice, my shirt is a little dressier than what I was wearing a little bit ago, but that's what happens when you're the sound man, you know. But anyhow, I just, you know, just let's all be in prayer again, as I've shared before. We've got to be on our knees on this, because we are fighting an evil, evil enemy. We truly are. And then let's get on our knees and let's stand up and let's go to battle. But also, it's going to take a lot of deep thought and a lot of homework. And it's going to take the continued work out of the Attorney General's office. And I'm so grateful for what he's doing. And Todd, that again, thank you for all that you're doing and how quickly you're doing it. So I won't hold you up any longer, but thanks a lot, and God bless you. And Andrew, I'm so proud of you. And Andrew, I just can't wait to see you grow more and get healthier, and just just be in prayer for Andrew. He's a beautiful young man, just beautiful.